Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I'll be your friendly shop steward today, because today we are carrying on with our ongoing campaign playing Paizo Publishing's outstanding Pathfinder 2nd Edition fantasy RPG. We are playing in our custom setting of the Spires of Paridar, a setting of industrial progress, class disparity, and occult conspiracy. And with me today are the Illuminators themselves, the stars of the Spires of Paridar campaign. I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing today? First up, we've got Sean.
Hey, I'm playing Golag, son of Doc. He is an orc witch detective, and he has his trusty shadow tattoo.
Very nice. Next up is James.
All right, I'm James, and I'm playing Sally Dumer, an ancient scale Azarketi martial artist detective.
Very nice. Next up is Ingolf.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ingolf. I'm playing Basil Rathbone, who is an Isoki investigator and also not trying to die this session.
Good. And last, but certainly not least, is Darren.
Yep, Darren here. I'm playing Dr. Adam Ersprung, who's a created flesh warp inventor and currently still rebuilding Igor. Nice.
So, last session was a session of some further revelations in the those things you learned from Professor Raleigh Galberry. There was a midnight meeting that Dr. Ersprung had, and Basil had some insight into the nature of this ritual. What happened last time, guys?
Well, that was quite a good summary.
Starting high levels with project headings.
Yeah, we had a good long talk with the professor at the university about what we could do, trying to save Ransom Babwell. He said we could replace him. You know, he's worked out that he could stop the ritual, or not stop it, but replace the person who would basically be killed by the ritual when it completed. That was about as far as they'd managed to work out in the short time they've had to sort of study it. So we were thinking about potential people to replace him with, but we didn't come up with anyone. Not yet. We talked about what's his name? The ghost with the soul, the detached. Oh, what's his name? Let me find out what his name
Matthias
is.
Ducart.
That's it, Matthias Ducart. Because he's like a ghost, but he's still got his soul, hasn't he? And it was the soul that's connected to this ritual, apparently. So we did consider that.
He's the one that visited Golag, right? And
yeah. Because we thought he might be almost glad to be. It's almost like he's cursed to stay around. His brother's gone missing, and he's trying to find his brother. So maybe he'd want to stay to try and find his brother. But that was a possibility. They have to be a willing replacement. That was the key thing. So we couldn't just literally just find someone and replace them in a ritual.
Little halfling reporter.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, he's a good candidate. So yeah, we were discussing that for quite some time. What else did I don't think the professor give us much else.
Yeah, well, we had this idea that maybe we could, if we could find enough persons that were similar or somehow connected to Babwell.
We haven't actually asked him that yet, have we? We was going to go back to the university to ask him if we had 3 or 4 family members, if they could sort of take the strain and like all be drained slightly, but no one would die from it, sort of thing. Sort of divide the drain from this ritual.
So we weren't sure about this. So I think actually we had the information that this might work, but it only might work because everything so far is only theoretical, because a machine like that had never been in existence before. So all of their knowledge is somehow up to the experiment. Let me put it this way.
Yeah, but we were going to ask the professor again, and then if he thinks it might work, then we were going to wake up Babwell and
and that was yeah. So we somehow we needed to have Babwell awake, and somehow we needed to have the professor and his students at the lab, I suppose, to
the warehouse.
At the warehouse to mess with the symbols and whatever stuff there.
Rewrite.
So we need them on location, and then we if we do that, the problem is that it seems very likely that at the moment that Babwell awakes, we will have to deal with our good friend, and there might be violence involved.
So that was the other question I had for the professor, if he knows how long the ritual is before it completes. If we could time it so we did it just before it completed, then once it's completed, potentially we could turn the machine off and, attack Saxon or try and defeat him once and for all, because he'd be a solid sort of person. He'd be fully formed and not vulnerable, but we could potentially kill him or defeat him.
Yeah, I forgot about this, but Galberry had some insight into that the paralysis that Dr. Ursprung and Golag had experienced when he hit you with that wave of anger when you faced Mr. Saxon. Mm. That the Tulpa, he still is very much a thought form, as much as, if not more so, than a creature of flesh, and unstable, seemingly, if he's leaking that kind of raw emotion out.
Yeah, it was almost like it just come out rather than he tried to perform some sort of attack. Yeah.
So and somehow or at least Basil's thought process was something like, so we could try to get his sister and his children to help maybe with the ritual, but then they will be in existential danger, not only from the ritual itself, but also from a mad Tulpa trying to ravage. And we barely managed to escape with the children the last time. So this could be devastating, let me put it this way.
But we also think that because of Babwell's connection, there's almost a part of him inside of Saxon trying to sort of help. And that's why we think the children and his sister might still be able to identify the two. Like he's sort of trying to help. He's put some sort of like backdoor entrance into this ritual, or some
message
sort
in a bottle,
of safety. Almost. Yeah, some sort of safety. I don't know what you'd call it, but yeah, so they could identify it and maybe alert someone if it went wrong. And that's why we think possibly they're the ones that can sort of see through this illusion almost.
Yeah, and so the somehow the conclusion seems to be that we at one point have to wake up Babwell, and I think he should be the one who decides whether to involve his family at all.
Mm. But I think we want to speak to the professor just to confirm if he thinks it's going to work.
I think we did that already, didn't we?
Well, we didn't suggest like having more people. He just said,
he said that this would overload. I'm pretty sure that Basil talked to him about that.
But yeah, if it overloads, it'll blow up, though, we thought, potentially.
We don't know exactly how this will happen or won't happen. So, but at least Basil is sure that Babwell is not as innocent as he seems to be in all of this. So he has made a deal with this person. So Gwendolyn Fallow was there and she talked to us as well.
Yeah, so Gwendolyn Fallow also visited myself while I was up, like trying to rebuild Igor, and I spoke to her one-to-one, and she basically told us to keep our noses out of it and don't get involved. And then she disappeared again, like she does. But she confirmed her involvement, basically.
Which was what?
Well, she didn't, give us any real details. She allowed me to ask one question, and the doctor was so obsessed with trying to save Babwell. He asked her about, why does he have to die during this ritual? Why has he been? And she gave me some sort of story about, he's got to die because he'll build another machine if he survives, and some sort of exaggeration of, he was sort of dangerous as well in a roundabout way. But I think she was lying, so.
She created the tulpa? Is that our belief? Is that what did she say she did, or?
Well, she didn't confirm anything, but she told us to keep out of it. So she obviously knows what's going on.
I still think doing something ghastly to Gwendolyn Fallow seems to be a good route.
She's so hard to find, isn't she?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty sure that she is not interested in Saxon Zane as a tulpa. So I'm pretty sure that she did not somehow envision him, or her motivation is a different kind that we don't know yet.
I think it's to use the machine again for her own purposes. Now it's been tested. I think that's probably.
I don't know. Weren't we sure that the program might be more than just doing this one tulpa, and it could do other things as well, which
but
we
at the
don't know
moment,
about?
The machine's just powering the ritual. So once it's completed, it will then be available to power something else.
That is true. But I think that do we really know that the ritual is only to have that kind of tulpa?
Yeah.
I think it's so involved.
That nothing else is in this ritual than to make Saxon sane. So then.
Yeah, as far as you understand, the ritual that is currently being processed through this, which is rewriting history and reality, it's only to create Zane Saxon.
I think that was how she got him to build the machine. I mean, she's obviously used some sort of magic on him as well to make him forget about building it and that. But initial agreement is, well, I'll help you out if you help me build this machine, and then it's gone horribly wrong, maybe.
But if you're not wrong, though, Ingolf, that if the machine could be used, it's not designed only to create him. It's designed to power that kind of that scale of ritual. So this machine could be then used to work some other kind of ritual.
Yeah. This I understood as well, but I was under the impression that it already did more than just this one ritual.
What did you base that on?
Yeah, I don't know. I was somehow I had always the impression that this same thing was only part of what's going on here. But if that is all, I mean, maybe we could just wait it out.
If you mean the Zane thing, then yes, that's not wrong. That the specific ritual, as far as you can tell, is only to create Zane. But what that has done, though, is it's not simply they summoned someone; they have rewritten history. So this person
I understood that, but I was under the impression that it was just like, I don't know, like when you have this batch thing in a computer where it just processes in sequence all the steps.
If that's the understanding you had, that's mistaken.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but then we could just wait it out. I mean.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying. If we managed to do it just before it ended, and we managed to swap out people, we could save Babwell, and then once it's finished, potentially turn the machine off, destroy it, before someone starts a new ritual. but Zane's going to show up, obviously, and he is not easy to deal with, let's say.
So let me ask you this then, from a metaphysical perspective. If someone is murdered by someone who doesn't exist until a ritual is completed, what happens if you take that ritual out and it does not conclude?
Yeah, this is what we was discussing before, whether we could bring back the murdered partner. If Zane didn't exist, would it unwind history? But, you know, what are the effects of unwinding history? Because would it affect other things that have happened? Or would it only affect, you know, things that Zane's done? I don't know.
It's also impossible to know, now that the ritual has been in progress, what the baseline is like, because you're all caught in it as well.
But at the beginning was Fallow and Babwell?
That's what the communication, the letter, everything's been pointing towards, yeah.
And what was the intent? The original intent was to take control of the company for Babwell?
I think Babwell, to grow his business, greed, I think, just to, you know, get more business, get more money, build bigger, better things. He's forgotten all of his meetings with her, hasn't he? So he can't tell us. It's all been erased, or...
And he needed a Saxon to make that true. That's the...
Yeah,
he thought.
He's not a businessman, is he? He's a builder, he's a designer, he's an ideas guy. And Zane drives the business, brings in the business, grows the business. But I just think it's got out of control and he didn't realise what he was getting into. But he still was, greedy or whatever at the beginning to want it.
And the murder of his partner was an accident? He didn't intend it, at least.
Well, he certainly seemed, very upset by it when we spoke to him.
Uh-huh.
So I think that was just a side effect that he didn't think was going to happen.
Yeah, but we don't know, because...
We don't 100% know that, no.
Yeah, because in a way it is like maybe this version of Babwell didn't want his friend or had no problem with his friend, but maybe the version before had, because if we so somehow this must be a different kind of character, because the one we got to know is like a reluctant, very frightened person, and the other one is seems to be
more assertive.
Yeah, and very much willing to take the highest risk possible to achieve his dreams, in a way.
Yeah, this current one wouldn't seem capable of this. It's very over the top and diabolical.
Yeah. So maybe we could imagine that some kind of parts of Babwell is somehow part of Zane now, the energy and the hatred and rage and so on. And what's left for Babwell is just more this introverted person.
Been sort of magnified, or his small, weak sort of bit of hatred has now become this big, horrible. It's grown and magnified, sort of.
So Babwell wanted was a greed theme, and somehow he unfortunately found Fallow. Do we think he looked up Fallow, or did Fallow find him? Do we know?
No, we don't know how they came into contact. I think
not critical. I was just curious if we knew. And then Fallow is in it for the machine. We think that she's thinking that this is a play test.
Well, without it, she'd have to have lots of people like her constantly 24/7, like powering this ritual. So it's like a generator for her to perform some horrible thing again in the future. Yeah. Whatever she's up to.
And somehow we are responsible for getting her coven, or however you would call her, first society out of business. So basically we robbed her of her conduits, or whatever you call the other which is
A first attempt. Yeah. And they were probably trying to do something, and that was why there's so many of them. But now with the machine, she don't need a gang or a group or a covenant or whatever. She can just use the machine.
Yeah, progress of automation, eh?
That's it.
Yeah.
AI putting us all out of jobs.
Exactly.
Paridar AI.
Blackwell's just
I
really a form
know
of
writers who
ChatGPT.
use subtext, and they're all cowards.
Yeah, so that's where we're at, I think.
And we know we haven't heard word of Saxon since the battle, I assume.
He hasn't resurfaced yet.
I mean, he might actually. I was just thinking about it. So he couldn't capture the children, or I don't know. We don't even know if he wanted the children to be safe in a strange way of, in a weird way of dealing with them. So he might turn to Babwell's sister.
Well, didn't we think that could have been part of Babwell inside Saxon, sort of trying to protect his children in a strange kind of way, like because he's still connected to him. But obviously, it come across the wrong way because you see the Saxon guy and he's super violent and aggressive towards us. But it's almost like Babwell was trying to protect him, maybe, sort of subconsciously or something. But we don't know.
Where does Babwell's sister play into it? Again,
Which just she can see through the illusion as well. She
right.
don't remember this Saxon guy. She's the only other one other than the
she's the one
children.
that hired us, right? Originally.
Yeah, she's the only one, and everyone thought she was,
And she talked about it with other people, so it might be that Saxon knows about this. So because Babwell knew that his sister might have talked to other people, so he at least was convinced because he actually asked us whether she sent us. So, and then there is this connection between Zane and Babwell, so it might be that he knows as well about her. We don't know. I think we never talked about her.
So our best conclusion is we are hoping that we would. So we need to. What would you say the best conclusion is? So that where'd you leave it? That we thought that so to possibly that this machine would finish.
If we could add more people into the ritual, they would share the load or the drain of their existence, their soul, their energy, whatever it's draining out of people. So when it finished, no one died, because the Babwell is going to die at the end of it. That's what the professor's confirmed. If the ritual completes, Babwell will die, Saxon will become the finished sort of article.
Even if the ritual is altered in a way so that the professor and the students might be able to let the ritual finish without having the right conclusion or the somehow unwinding it, but nevertheless Babwell is gonna die unless someone else is stepping in or the burden is shared or something like that.
Or we pull the plug on Babwell and the ritual doesn't complete and Zane Saxon potentially disappears and it unwinds, but Babwell would die in the process because it wouldn't be able to feed on him. It might not complete the ritual, but we're not sure if the ritual would still complete, because I thought he was just tied into it to make him, to kill him off. Did the professor confirm if it would still complete or not? If he was taken out of the equation?
I think he used the analogy of fuel in a steam engine for you, of overloading a engine with too much fuel or more energetic fuel than what it is designed for, or starving it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. so it shut down because it didn't have enough fuel.
Yeah, two ways. You could starve it of fuel. You could add more fuel than what it is designed to be capable of. Both cases result in failure. One would peter out. One would
potentially. The overload could cause an explosion or some sort of.
Well, and if it's, I hate to use a rubber band thing, but if you think of a baseline of whatever the baseline of reality is, and you're pulling back and back and back on this change, waiting for it to snap up in order to be the new default, with Saxon having always been here, if you let go of that as it's going, it's the way Paridar is, it's uncertain what will happen. Again, that could be nothing. It's not to say something is going to happen. It could very well be just to settle back. It's remarkably stable otherwise for having suddenly added somebody into history. So a sudden return may be the same too. It may be a catastrophic change. It may be a subtle change that you're not going to notice because, you know. Also, I mean, it could, this is only a two-dimensional example, but as it snaps back, it could also go back in the other direction. So you could shift the timeline into something, or the reality into something different as well.
Yeah, so you mean we could have our own flashpoint where everything is similar, but somehow.
Yeah. I will say that this is not an elaborate ploy to change systems, so we're still playing PF2 because I am prone to doing that in other campaigns. I do not have any such ones in here. Why doesn't magic work the way it is? Well, because of this cosmic event, guys, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's foresaw that theory.
To remove the steam, the manner of that would be, the method of that would be to kill Babwell, right? And then to overload it to add people. How are people added? How do we know the actual?
The professor said they can amend the ritual to replace him, or potentially add other people. So they would.
So the adding other people is actually, I think, was something that actually Basil came up with. You sent Solvin to somewhere safe, and lying on his back, looking up at the ceiling, he noticed there was a small cobweb that, because Solvin wasn't there, it had gone. And then he was in the study looking at his conspiracy web and thinking of the lattice work of that and the connections between the others, that if they could strengthen that or rework whatever this existing connection is between the family members, that might bring everything in. And that is where the potential, you know, it's putting jet fuel in your Honda Civic, right? Like it's not going to work the way you intended. You're probably going to have a bad time with your vehicle, and it's not going to work any longer.
But that's what I thought. That's why I thought we should probably run that past the professor.
And you learned that only after the meeting with Fallow. Or you discussed that after Fallow, because that was the last thing we talked about. So Golag maybe coming in, you know, kind of wiping shadowy crusties out of his eyes. What'd I miss? And everybody brings Golag up to speed. Is there anything else you guys recall from last time? I don't want to cut off the discussion here because this is great stuff. But Golag, this will bring you back into the actual scene and we'll situate where we are. Oh, in which case we should go to the office, guys. Hold on. Golag, have you any questions or any further questions about?
Are we currently theorizing? I mean, obviously, if you remove steam, that involves, by default, intrinsically, the demise of Babwell. Is the theory that adding people is safer in any way?
Well, if the ritual completes, I don't think the machine will blow up. But if we overload it, it potentially could blow up.
I see.
Whereas if it just completes and he dies as part of the ritual, that's the safest way, I believe. You know, it'll complete, the machine will be finished, and then we could potentially destroy it, turn it off, whatever, if Fallow doesn't get there before us.
You know, one thing, shutting down the machine, if you starve the machine, it is likely to just simply shut down, and the machine would otherwise not be affected. If you did overload it, there is the risk that we've talked about for reality, but it is also likely that it would damage the machine. and without Babwell to repair it,
Yeah.
nobody else could fix that.
Yeah. So I don't really know how the characters would feel about this. So in a way, I mean, from a strategic point, the easiest is to kill Babwell, but I think that's not the option we would go for. But
Well, Adam is adamant of saving everybody in all situations, regardless. But whether that's possible is another matter.
What do we think the client wants at this point? Just to put that back in the.
What, the sister?
Yeah, the reason we're still at her behest in a sense. I mean, I know we're feeling an obligation to society, and it feels like more at this point. But she's our original client. What do you think she wants?
you could ask her.
I'm sure she wants her brother back.
Yeah, but on the risk of her life.
But we have still got the option of Matthias, was it? You know, if we could just replace someone like for like, the ritual would complete, Zaxxon would appear.
But how is this better in a way? Why is it
only if he agreed to it, obviously.
Yeah.
But if he, if he's a cursed sort of ghost that's stuck in this world and doesn't want to be here anymore, it would almost be a relief for him, maybe.
So Matthias would be, one more time with Matthias, he would take Babwell's place?
Yes.
We need a willing person to take over. The doctor even considered it himself, but he sees that, it would save Babwell, but it would cost other people lives in the city, potentially, because the work he does and stuff.
As far as I understood, it would not only cost the life, it would cost the soul. So
yeah, that's
it would not be somehow a release or something of this ghost, but it would be his. I don't know. He would be erased in a way.
What was Matthias's motivation for reappearing again?
He is connected to the sepulcher. He is basically bound to this automaton.
It was the IOU, wasn't it?
Yep.
Sepulcher was part of the IOU. And I think he came to warn us that they were watching us.
Yeah, and Golag got... Not that they were warning you, or that they were watching you, because they were watching you and you guys got in that scrap with him. But he came to Golag... seemingly potentially at the instruction of Golag's father, to tell him that they had been instructed to take more firm action against you, and that Golag's father, Doc, told Saxon where to go. Yeah. So it was a warning. Matthias... Go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
Matthias didn't appear again, though, did he? Did Matthias?
No, you guys had he was. Fresh in your mind, it was one of the things you guys had talked about a potential.
Gotcha. Replacement.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
One thing I will throw out there, because I don't know if Golag has had an opportunity to opine on this. We have talked in a couple of sessions about who potentially you could get help from for this, disposing of this wish machine, as it were. Does Golag have any thoughts about who might want, who you've encountered in Paridar would want and would you trust with a wish machine, effectively?
If it was turned over to someone, you mean, at the end?
Yeah. Because if it is someone if there is someone who you can think of, they may have resources you can draw on as well. It does mean that, it does seem like there's nobody trustworthy in Paridar except for you guys. But you never know.
The problem is not trustworthy enough. I think there's you could rank them, and some are better than others, and you'd say, okay, these are horrible, and these are, these have the possibility of doing the right thing. But as far as, it's the old story of power corrupts, and is anyone in the category of pretty close to incorruptible? I would say no. There's no one like that. There's no one this beacon of I can't think of anybody. Even though, again, there's some you could rank to say, not to throw everyone under the bus. There's some that may be better, but no one like that. No one just a complete that you would hand something like this to. It doesn't seem a good match with anybody.
Okay.
I don't think that I can think of.
Okay.
Does anyone disagree?
Yeah. No, there's only Adam I would trust with such a thing. So I'm pretty sure that the name Golag should be on the not trustworthy list.
Wow.
He's easily influenced.
Wow. I need to talk to Sylvan.
Sylvan! Oh yeah, he's gone.
Sylvan. There's cobwebs. Sylvan. Cobwebs.
Yeah, Golag's. I picture this here. Guile comes in and tells us, Basil tells him everything about what he's seen, what he's theorized or whatnot, and then finally at the end of it, Guile's like, so there's cobwebs upstairs.
Yeah, exactly.
He hasn't seen the vehicle yet, has he?
Not since, yeah, he did see it happen because he was invisible with the kids and you ran the vehicle into him. It was a true display of selflessness that he chose to say nothing when he saw that happen and made his way off silent and hidden with the children. So, truly a heroic turn.
There we go. See, Basil? See?
Yeah.
That goes in my plus column, sir.
However, he is taking it out of your wages.
Well, of course, that goes to that. That's an accounting situation. That's not even a discussion.
Yeah.
So far, I'm only paid with cheese, aren't I? So
a very fine cheese.
Yeah.
And trout for me.
Indeed, and a gorgeous bath of porcelain and craftsmanship.
Yeah, I mean, I would say we could talk to his sister, and we should talk to Babwell himself. Like, I guess this version of Babwell wouldn't want us to try to use his children to get him out of this. So when we were with him, he was on the verge of giving up or sacrificing himself. So I don't know if we are the ones to make this decision for him.
Dr. Ursprung, I have a question for you in your professional capacity as a physician. One of the things that in Paridar, like in our world, is there is a concept in the medicine called informed consent, is where you have to have the capacity in order to agree to undertake a procedure. And one thing that might occur to you is further to what you guys have been talking about, the splintering of him into two different people. If that is true, and the Babwell you're dealing with now is only part of or a different or diminished version of the Babwell who enacted the ritual, is this Babwell sufficient to give a informed consent to whether he wishes to sacrifice himself or whether he wishes to sacrifice to have the children and his sister assist him? Because if your suspicions are true, then that Babwell may have made a decision. There's a great deal of supposition that's going on there, but it is something you might consider, that in cases where people have diminished capacity, they may not be able to give informed consent because they are not capable of making the full risk assessment and coming to a reasonable conclusion on their own.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was definitely talking in the way that he didn't want his children to be put in danger in that. But yeah, like you're saying, he could be not of a complete mind, or fully himself.
And I say that not to tilt one way or the other. Truly, it really is just that it is something I think that you, having dealt with some patients over the course of your career who are of limited faculties, you would be aware of that. You know, we might although in such cases, you know what you would do is assign a guardian for someone else to make that decision for them.
Well, like I say, we could speak to the sister. Let's see what she says. We could lay it on the line. Explain the options that we've come up with. Let's do that, maybe.
Do we have anything materially we think we're still hoping for from the professor?
Only to get his best opinion on what would happen if we did try and share it amongst multiple people. This, you know, the ritual connected to multiple people, whether he thinks it would overload the machine and also not, you know, kill them all or take their souls or whatever this ritual does at completion. We haven't had that confirmed. That's just a theory at the moment. So
and replacing Babwell, let's say Matthias agreed to it. Is that the best possible? Is that at the top or no? Is that at the top of our theories that if we could employ it?
It was the safest. It was the safest option if we go down the let the ritual complete, and the machine sort of just finish what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think we could. It could even be the ritual could be stopped, but it would nevertheless cost someone's soul. So if we swapped it, then the professor could turn down the machinery. And
You could turn it off.
Turn it off, yeah.
But then that could reverse things that have happened already. We weren't sure what.
We are still in this. We have some idea of what might happen, but I'm still confused with. So, why would it be better to sacrifice someone else who's totally not connected to this?
Well, only if they were willing. That's what I was saying. It was. I don't think it's an option because I think he'd say no. But if you had, like you said, you know, someone on their deathbed in some medical facility's got 2 days to live, and they said, "I'm willing to give up my life for someone else."
Yeah, but it's not the life; it's the soul.
Or the soul in.
Yeah.
As well.
I think it's.
You should check his driver's license. Does he have the soul donor tick marked on it, or?
That's what you got to ask.
Yeah. So I don't know how. I mean, we would be living in a world where we not only believe in souls, but we are really. I don't know. There is evidence.
No, that's actually not correct. Remember, Paridar, there isn't. Travel to the other planes is not a common occurrence. It's not a regular occurrence. There isn't the kind of direct confirmation. You know, there are ghosts and whatnot, but what truly happens once things dissipate from the material plane?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. But we still have this vampiric serum and all this stuff. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like there isn't a true like confirmation of no one's been to the afterlife, you know, no officially or traveling, right? Like it's not that that isn't something you go on faith the way you would that in our world. There are definitely things that can bring souls back from wherever they go, and there are ways of animating, you know, folks beyond death or returning them from death, but the actual particulars of that remain the great mystery.
Yeah.
So if we replaced him, he was willing, and we turned the machine off, there's the potential it would go back to where it was before all of this happened. You know, Babel's partner would return, Saxon would disappear, and in theory, it could go back to before this all began, and, you know, life could go on, and we could get rid of the machine, but that's all theory, you know. Everything about this is all maybes.
Yeah, but we should decide on something we are going to pursue now.
Yep.
What isn't theory? What isn't theory of? Is there a part that's not theory that we know that if A plus B equals C, what is that at this point? Is there? Or
There isn't really, because even the professor is saying that no one's ever created a tulpa before, and no one's done this, and this machine's never been built, and it doesn't. You know, even Babwell don't know how it exists, and you know, so it's all really theories and ideas. So
Yeah.
there's no concrete.
You could say in the somehow a little bit inferring from the other side. So if Gwendolyn Fallow wants this machine to conclude whatever it does, that might be just enough justification to be very, very reluctant to let it finish its job without any interference.
Yeah, she's told us to not get involved and let it finish what it's doing. So yeah, that's another good point. There might be some side effect of that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point for Basil, that if the one thing is certain is that she wants this to happen.
And whatever she wants, we don't like.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be something horrific.
Yeah, so the last time she wants some kind of shadow invasion, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't so fond of that, but
nothing against shadows. Right?
Go like slowly moves the Umbernomicon behind. I don't know, guys. That didn't sound that bad. I mean,
shadows have feelings too.
yeah.
What was I going to say?
So that leads us towards the turning Babwell, you know, putting him to sleep permanently and stopping the ritual early. Then, really, that's the favourite. If we're wanting to stop it completing, I think that's. Well, you could overload it. Yeah, you could overload it, which you do.
Or replace, right? The Matthias. I mean, I know he has to agree, but we're at this point. It's the Matthias option in the sense, or whoever you'd replace.
Or the overload, which is the riskier. Shut it down early, because it would potentially blow up and create a rift and let all sorts of hell come into Paridar or whatever.
I feel like we've eliminated that. I mean, out of all the theories, that seems the least attractive. The overload. Does anyone disagree with that?
It's more dangerous.
Well, yeah, and surely at some point, it seems likely that Babwell is not entirely innocent in this whole thing. And that if we replace him, then he gets off scot-free, somebody else gets wiped, and Gwendolyn's plan comes to fruition. So that seems to be a very bad setup.
There was a third option you guys had discussed, but you have discarded as well, which was just destroying the machine itself physically. And the concern there is that just would untether whatever that ritual is, and that thing flailing around without focus may be a more dangerous route than just trying to destroy the ritual and then by doing so damage the machine. Yeah. So there is a worse outcome. We were talking about degrees of bad. That is probably the least ideal.
I mean, there's always a certain evil witch we could involve in this as well. So, I mean, there's...
Well, even the minister.
But if we smash up the machine, it may just end up with a 404 tulpa not found situation.
That'll be our thumbnail for the next session. 404 error.
I mean, if we're going to get the witch involved, we might as well get the Ministry of Security involved. I mean, let's just bring them all in. Let's just get everyone. Let's get all the players on the board.
The men from MIS are here to serve.
There you go.
Who they're serving,
sure they know what
don't
to
ask. But
yeah. If we perhaps want to allow the if we're going to take out Babwell and go that route, that would seem to argue less. That'd be the chief reason not to meet with the client, because she might. I mean, I don't know. You know, that'd be that might be a tough sell. And if we're convinced of doing that, like we're like, okay, that's what we're doing. You know, we're putting Babwell to sleep permanently, dirt nap time, and we're that's the route. Then I don't know. Then that'd be the one time when we don't we could think not meeting with the client, because That may not be the best of.
It might even be there's a slight chance that if reality snaps back, I don't know whether he might be alive again.
Oh, there you go. That you could tell her that. That's our angle right there with the client. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean that is potential option as well. If his partner comes back, then what's to say he wouldn't come back?
And it could be a new
completely.
And it could be a new improved Babwell comes back.
Yeah. But then again, I think there is no free lunch in the universe. So I guess someone has to pay the price. But
so what do we think out of all of our that was good. Took some time. I think the table got set. So out of all of those, I would suggest that the overload is the least attractive, seemingly, I think. All of them are a little unattractive. So I don't think there's a shining beacon of hope among any of them, and they're theoretical, which
Isn't
makes them
smashing the machine the least attractive? Or is that what you meant by overload?
But
I think Smash a Machine was taken off the table, wasn't it, at some point? I think.
It's fine, and it could be a category. So both are. There's no need to rank between ones we're not doing. So I think the smashing's not doing, and the overload's not in the not doing. I think. I mean, anyone feel free to speak up. But go ahead.
Yeah, but I think any one of the ones which involves the ritual completing sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah, the overload would stop it early. The cutting off the energy or the life force or the fuel. So they're the two options we're down to, I believe. Whether you replace the person.
Evil ritual completing sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah.
So Babwell's demise. Or what was the other one?
Overloading it.
Overload.
And it stops early. They both stop early.
In the case, so there is two ways that Babwell might die, or three maybe. So do we want to have him die? Do we want to wait for the ritual to finish? I think Sally is arguing no way. And do we want the professor and the students involved to alter the ritual in a way that it never finishes, but Babel will die in any case? So we want the professor to alter the ritual, I suppose.
I've been reading your Penny Dreadfuls, and in no story do you wait for the evil plan to go.
Yeah. No, but if Babel would die just now, the ritual would stop. That would be would be the thing. Or we could try to stop the ritual in a more controlled way. I don't know what is the good thing to do.
Well, I think we've decided there isn't a controlled way to stop it, or the professor's told us that. It's no fuel, too much fuel. That was the two options we had.
But I thought he would nevertheless be able to alter it in a way. But this is not necessary. I don't know.
What do you mean by alter it?
So I was just under the impression that they could alter the ritual in a way that it would fail, but it would nevertheless cost Babwell's life.
No.
The only altering was putting someone else in rather than Babwell. Okay. That was the altering that they could.
So we switched.
Yeah, but how
willing? There it is.
It's got to be a willing person.
Even with Fallow? Maybe that's her sentence.
If she'd step up and take the position, I'd be more than happy to put her in the ritual.
Dr. Ersberg, what if she didn't step up, but we forced her into it? Would you do it? Since it's Fallow?
I would love to do that, but she's got to be willing. That was what the professor said. The ritual.
Okay.
Demand. a
I see.
willing person.
The ritual requires willfulness. I see.
And at the
Didn't
time,
understand that.
he was probably willing
One other
because
bit.
he was under the influence.
It's well informed required as well.
Yeah, one other tidbit too that Dr. Ersprung brought back that I can't remember if you mentioned today. Fallow doesn't know where Babwell is.
Oh yeah, she did try and find out where he was.
She tried to get it out of Dr. Ersprung, but he sussed out what was going on. So she doesn't know where Babwell
She
is
wants
right
to
now.
protect him, I think, because she's worried that we might pull the plug. So she
I suppose
definitely
that's-
wants it to go ahead. I mean, that, like Sally said, that is, that's upmost on her priorities.
Yeah, and
which
as
is
much as she
bad.
may seem to have an idea of everything that seems to be going on, it seems she doesn't know everything. So whether
And that
that's a value
confirms
or something you could, use to your advantage.
It confirms the criticalness of Babwell to the. It would seem to. It's a.
Yeah, and as for switching of other people, curious if she wouldn't just swap someone else in for this, right?
I wonder if it's partly to do with the fact that that Zane Saxon would have some of his knowledge and she could use it because he was connected to her. And if it was swapped out, maybe that's why he was. She'd have control of him, and she'd have some of his knowledge. I don't know. Maybe that was part of it. We still think they're sort of joined.
Honestly, I think I don't know. We don't know how powerful he would be in his final incarnation.
No.
But right now, I think she's not in the position to control him at all.
Does she have any, apart from the ritual that created him, have you guys found any connection between the two? Because I rewatching it last time, you guys were talking about that a little bit.
It doesn't seem to have been any connection yet.
Because remember what he was doing after you guys took Babwell? He was flailing, wasn't he? He didn't go, or at the very least, she didn't help him.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, we aren't even sure whether she knows he's a Topa. But because she is not.
Remember
It's
that
her ritual, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was the thing that
It's her ritual.
yeah, Babwell had told you that was one of the things she had talked about when she was in school. So she's aware of the existence of this kind of unusual.
Yeah, but does she know that Zane himself is the Topa?
What you mean? She's randomly created one and she don't know who it is, sort of thing.
Yeah, but because reality has been rewritten, she might not know who the person is that did not exist.
She's also
before.
affected by it.
Yes.
Potentially. She might not know, But what we've concluded is we want to stop it before it finishes.
Yes.
So we've only really got two options.
That's an interesting possibility. The villain has an evil plan that they don't even know what their evil plan is.
Yeah, no, the evil plan depends on another plan that they don't know. That's
So should we vote then on no fuel or extra fuel options?
And then the extra fuel is more straightforward. There's no options after that, is there? That's going to the professor and having him and his students add people to it, and there's no options. So that is a one decision.
He's got to confirm that'll work because we haven't actually asked him yet.
No, because you guys didn't. You discussed in like obliquely, I think the connection. I honestly don't remember if you mentioned that the kids and the sister can see through it before, but if you did, he didn't make the connection that Basil did. That like they're wrapped up in this ritual in some capacity as well. That is something that they could work with. The reason they haven't been able to do it so far is because he thought he was limited. He thought he knew the full scope of the ritual. It seems as if there's more to it. Thank God for Sovin's poor housekeeping.
Well, let's not So if we decide to overload it, that's just a one-shot decision, and we go to the professor, and I mean, presumably, if the professor goes along with it and agrees, then he executes that situation. He executes that decision with the students. I think if we decide on the choking off the steam, then we have a little more decision making, I think. So what we either the straightforward one is the demise of Babwell, and then other than that, maybe some choice of his replacement is out there. The Matthias option, so to speak, so called. Right? So is that where we're at? I think that's where we're at.
But it's not so straightforward if you want to overload, right? We still haven't got people to overload it with.
No, but if we're thinking that way, then we gotta find out all the.
Couldn't we have the other vote first? So there's an option A which is pretty clear, and an option B that we could only decide on if option A falls through.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I see it as two options, and if we go with option A, then we just get on with it. If we go with option B, then we sort of investigate it and decide how we're going to do it. And so I think we should almost have a vote on it, what people think.
It's fine.
You know what might be good?
Or
It's to take 5 minutes to consider, because we're at our mid-session break. So for those listening at home, we'll be back in about 5 minutes.
Hello. How are you? How is my handsome boy? Yes. You're so handsome. Yes, you is. You is handsome boy. Yes, you is. Yes, you is. Yes. Ooh, handsome boy. Yeah. You my boy. You my boy.
So, Darren, you enjoyed the Ars Magica.
Yeah, I mean, it was only a quick introduction to it, and we didn't get to sort of see all the parts of it, but I liked the idea of it with the, I don't know if you've read much about it.
No, not too much.
You sort of have the main magic user, or the mage, or magi, or whatever they call it, and then the others are support characters almost. And then the idea is on the next mission, you swap, and the other person becomes the magi. So everyone's got their own sort of magi character. So it's like a rotating spotlight. As the main character with support characters, and the support characters tend to have two characters themselves. So yeah, it was some quite interesting ideas, and they all sort of level up, and had some good ideas, but we didn't get to see all of that, obviously, because sort of saying it felt like potential for a good ongoing long-term
to see how it worked.
Thing. Yeah.
Well, Ars Magica we're talking about?
Yeah. Just saying you don't get to see all that, and it's only sort of theory and potential, but it seemed like it had the good ideas for continued playing it.
Well, I think experience. Go ahead, John.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I say the thing I'm building on. I didn't get into it in our Discord thing yesterday, but just the some of the other things that are going on in that game. I think of what we have going on in other games, where like Traveler is an ongoing thing with the shared resource of the ship and the long-term planning and whatever else. This campaign is story-based, cyclical kind of thing, which would be similar to what you would get in a seasonal campaign. The threshold damage thing with exploding dice is something we see in Savage Worlds and in Blackbirds, and I love it in both of those games. The dark it was really neat that Dave focused on the dark fantasy thing, because I mean that's obviously something that I'm leaning more into for it too, but it's the kind of thing that we got out of like our Witcher game or our Blackbirds games, or some of the dark fantasy stuff that we've played. And the rotating thing is just, I think, an interesting way of dealing with the fluctuating party size. So if you got folks who are missing sessions or whatnot too, you've always got those grogs who have those necessary skill sets for you. So even though spotlight protection, or like niche protection, is a really big thing in the game, because like the character that Ingolf was playing yesterday, if she got in a fight, it would not end well for her unless she was fighting with another librarian. But in the same way that she was really the asset that was able to provide insight and to interact with a lot of people and get some information out of some people, whereas the knight in the party, who would be great in a fight, isn't necessarily there. It doesn't have that strength. But as a player, you can always sub out into one of those other things. So while Ingolf was playing the knowledgeable thing, you could just as easily have a grog that sort of fills that role, and have them be the knowledgeable ones if you wanted to play a more martial character. It kind of allows you through your companion to pick the part of your, the part of the world in the game that you want to kind of personalize with your companion, but also still get to play your, the grogs and do what you want with it. We also
games with rotating characters are unusual. They're interesting.
Well, I think that, like, they call it troop play, and I'm pretty sure it originates with Ars Magica, because that's how they originally referred to it. I know the storyteller games, like the World of Darkness ones in particular, the troop style thing, that comes directly from Ars Magica, because so many of the designers were carryovers from that into the original, vampire, werewolf, and mage.
It makes you think a little bit of it's not the same, but a little bit of Better Angels. That it's a game where you play your character and then you play the demon or angel of the player next to you, and so the character of the character of the player next to you.
Yeah,
and it's really interesting interaction there.
I think they do that. Eclipse Phase has something similar where you play, and I think that Infinity has something similar where like whatever your like companion AI is, it's the player to your right who controls that. So you have some interaction between the characters and their AI. So Also, it's worth characters like in any game will gain XP over play too. So like if a character chooses to go into a different direction and expand their skills or whatever else, you can see that over the course of time as well with Ars Magica. So yeah, really.
Are we stalling a vote or a decision?
No, I thought we were bullshitting while we were waiting to get back. Go ahead, James. Sorry, what were you saying?
Or supporting characters in Star Trek Adventure?
Yeah, I think it's a little more clear in Star Trek Adventures is great in that sense, but because you're not doing it ahead of time, next time I run Star Trek Adventures, I'm probably going to create a roster of stuff or at least some basic stats, because unless the players are really knowledgeable in it, it's not as easy to just add them on the fly and you're not doing that in Ars Magica either. But you could take the same idea of having the supporting characters, which is what the supporting characters in Star Trek Adventures have, and you just flesh out that roster more ahead of time with Ars Magica than you do with Star Trek Adventures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in that you can level up the supporting characters in the future in a way, which is quite good. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing with Grogs too. Okay, so then, first off, everyone can take another hero point. We haven't had to roll dice an awful lot yet, so I'm not too worried about that. But having reconvened from the
head down, or should we pass? Oh, we could pass secret notes to the GM, and GM would be Sylvan. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm fine. If you guys want to do notes in a hat, I'm cast your vote for.
So, but I'm picturing Golag saying that, like, a hat or what should we?
Yeah, we could write a name of who we think is going to be the person that should be used in the ritual, and then it's free form.
Oh, among us?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I think I'd lose. Damn it. Let's see. So.
Golag, does your shadow have a soul? Just asking for a friend.
Do familiars have souls, Kevin?
Which? Sorry?
Familiars?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought
they
so.
They are bound to yours, if anything.
Yeah. Yeah. They do. Mine.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, I don't want to undercut. So Basil's concerned about like the value of the soul is consistent with the beliefs. The fact that even though if you don't know where they go, the fact that you can draw them back by like speak with dead, or that ghosts exist, or that you can raise dead with very, very powerful magic, it means it's a thing. So even though you don't know where it goes, you're not wrong to put value on Matthias's soul, because you're right. Like, we may not know, or you as Paridar inhabitants may not know where they go, but they kind of go somewhere. So
I mean, and the value of getting paid for the case, or getting, that when on payday everyone's concerned about it, but not now.
Yeah, that was one potential outcome if it does reset reality. And you guys go and see her about pay, but who's the Saxon? What?
Yeah. And then on payday, everyone's like, well, how come money's not in my account? And I'm like, well, we didn't get paid.
Yeah.
You just changed Golag's vote now. We're not going to get paid. Paridar.
Yeah, wait a minute.
So, but if we sacrifice our client, then we won't get paid either. So.
Tricky.
Yeah. Any further discussion before you vote?
So it's cut off steam or too much steam, right? First of all, I mean, that's the big main vote.
Yeah.
Open? Secret ballot? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, open's fine with me, unless it seems more fun to have a secret whisper past the hat. Open's fine. Okay. Well, all in favor of Overload and the Seven Hells erupting from the, no, I'm just kidding. Since no one seemed to raise their hand, I thought I'd soup it up. Okay, so they cut off steam. Everyone, no abstentions and abstain. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It seemed it was going that way the whole way. As far as those two choices, there was some permutations that I think there was some discussion on, but between those two, it would have been a surprise vote, I think, at this point to get the overload.
I was gonna go overload just because it might be the only way to save everyone, but the risk is too high.
Except for the universe.
Well, yeah. And also the fact that it might undo everything, and it might even save him. He might even come back himself, even though we've basically cut him off or potentially killed him. It reverses completely.
If that is the case, will you guys remember what's happened?
No, and even if we condemn him to certain deaths, we won't remember either. So.
And once again, we don't get paid.
And it might start again, and it might turn into bloody Groundhog Day. We might just start the adventure all over again. I mean, we can't even record it because that would be erased as well, probably. So
are we starving steam through the demise of Babwell? Do we have another vote to take, or no? Is that what we're doing? We voted? We voted to starve the steam, but have we voted for the demise of Babwell?
So Basil and Golag, I know, are trained in occultism. Is anyone else?
Yep.
So why don't you, all three of you, give us a occultism check, please?
I'm a very here and now lady.
Okay. So Dr. Ersprung, you talked about this, and you're like, okay, this is the course of action. We're going to starve off. That's what Professor Galberry had told us is going to starve it of steam or fuel.
Mm-hmm.
But did Professor Galberry know of the connection to the kids and the sister?
Not at that point. But he didn't say they were connected in the actual ritual, did he? As in the inscribed signals or signs and rituals signs. So perhaps we should ask and just check if it's going to have any effect on the others.
So could I still use a hero point to reroll? I mean,
sure.
Yeah, come on. Maybe I will get more insight here. No.
I'll spell it.
Okay.
There we go.
Yes.
There you go. Not knowing how this works, it seems as if, Golag, the connection to him between Babwell and the kids and the sister, if it's as Basil has theorized, there's a chance that those frayed edges might catch and be pulled into the ritual. So randomly, one of those three may take the place of Babwell due to that connection. It's not clear that that's the case, but it is a potential if you're taking the route of starving it of fuel. You may want to be certain that it is not able to... there are probably ways of doing that, knowing what the ritual language is and having studied it with his best grad students. They may be able to take them and ward them the same way they warded your house to prevent the ritual from inadvertently grabbing onto them. failing that, this is such a pernicious and powerful ritual. If there are connections to other people that you couldn't even see in the writings of the ritual, it's just the subconscious, expression of Babwell or whatever, it may be something that you should mitigate against.
We were at risk of having a solution there.
It's very close. Still is a solution. There is more. I mean, again, and it may not do that, but knowing how that there is this meaningful magical connection seemingly between the three of them and Babwell, that may be sufficient to open the door for further fuel.
Well, we could bring the professor in on the talk at this point and have him be part of the decision.
Yep. Feels we need to.
So off to the university?
I think so.
Okay.
As soon as Sylvan deals with these webs?
He is at the Barrowhead Clinic currently.
Oh, right.
We've put him
wonder
under.
there's webs.
Yeah, we've put him under guard. The police are there.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything you wish to do before you depart? Or are you heading off to the university in your dented wagon?
Yes. I think we should just get on.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's dented in the front? Where is it dented?
When I drove into Saxon, somebody dented it. Yeah.
I think we can now
I know
officially
this-
call it a jalopy.
I knew this before.
You
You
witnessed
saw
it.
it. You witnessed it happen.
I think I blacked it out.
I can understand why you've completely blacked it from your memory. All right. So it does take one or two tries to get the engine started, but it does eventually start. And you guys are headed back to the campus. Would everyone give us a perception check, please?
Yeah, we were. So at least Basil was convinced that there was some spies in the group of the professor for Gwendolyn Fallow.
Aye, Sally. Okay, so that is...
Oh, yeah, but Basil is somewhere else.
Yeah. Sally and Dr. Ursprung. It could be, this is probably early dawn as you're making your way over, having spent much of the night contemplating. You're all probably quite tired, having only obtained a modest amount of sleep, or none in Dr. Ursprung's case. And Sally and Dr. Ursprung, at first you maybe think it is your mind, your eyes playing tricks on you, but the shadows seem to be moving. In some cases, there are flitting of shadows moving in the wrong direction from the light. So the sun is rising in the east and the shadows are cast in a westerly direction. You can see that there are shadows that are moving in the opposite direction, flickering along as if you are being followed.
Was there enough sleep for spells?
You got a lot of sleep. Yeah, definitely.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's like Gwendolyn.
Management needs sleep, gentlemen.
Hey, the talent needs to be rested. So
That's right. That's what I meant to say. That's what I meant to say.
So yeah, I shall mention this to the group. It seems to me we have a few shadows following us. I assume this is something to do with fellows.
Sally got a 31. I can tell you that for one brief moment, you get to see a clear outline of what it is that is following.
Oh yeah, and I'll mention that they are the hounds that visited me last night when Fallow appeared. So that confirms it's her.
Yeah. Shouldn't we visit your girlfriend, Golek? She seems to be now the master of the shadows, or at least she told us. So maybe she's...
Yeah, she's more powerful than Fallow.
Yeah.
Putting aside her title, her so-called title, if it benefited us, we could be convinced of the benefit. I'd be fine with it.
What do you guys do, if anything?
I mean, it does. Do we think that's in danger in the university in some way?
This creature, well, it will spy on us, and it will take whatever we talk to the professor. It will report, I suppose.
You would know that, remember, you brought, or Rolly Galberry came into your life on account of him putting wards on your building to prevent the Harrowhaunts from coming in again. The College of Conjuration in particular is specifically warded against such things. So if anywhere, you would know that if anywhere, it will be free from anyone snooping by way of spirit.
But they did get into our premises.
Yes, and he did the ward there as well.
But that's the thing. Did they?
Well, I was in the lounge of our...
I don't disagree that you saw one in there. Do you want to guess what kind of magic is most often associated with shadow?
Is it like playing with your mind?
Illusions. Maybe.
Correct.
Illusions.
It would be a pretty handy way to make you think that they have powers over you if they're able to get an illusion in there that looks a lot like what their summoned animals are.
So it doesn't protect from illusion then?
Not necessarily.
Okay. So the university should be safe from spies then, hopefully.
So it may have just been an illusion and not Golag's cheap employee whiskey that made you imagine it.
Boy, the employees are just grumbly these days. They're just...
Good stuff's upstairs in Golag's bedroom.
Man.
Roll
The
for
union chit-chat is very rough these days. It's rough.
aspiring capitalist Golag is that's his archetype he's going to take.
Yeah. Let's talk about this thing we call wage.
So
we have to have revenue, sir. Revenue.
Good.
So with assuming you're not going to be making any changes in your plans, you will arrive back on campus early morning. You're seeing some people who are slowly waking up and making their way to either early morning classes or to breakfast or doing even in Paridar. We have the proud university tradition of the Walk of Shame. So there are people who are heading back from a very frivolous evening. Frivolous, that's not what I'm trying to say. An evening full of frivolity. So bleary-eyed students must hair wearing the same clothes they had the evening before. You make your way to the college once again, and you've arrived so early that it's Kathy, isn't it? I think I wrote it down at some point. Isn't that his...
It's something like that, definitely.
You can blame the wish machine for her name changing all the time?
Yeah, or just Sally doesn't want to remember and just calls her a different name each time.
They never calls her by the thing? Yeah. Like we've all had one coworker who's like that, of like, he says hi all the time. You're like, I have no idea what the fuck this person is.
Yeah.
So
And it's too late to ask. So
exactly. Well past the point of politeness of like, wait, you're not so-and-so?
Right.
Good morning, fan number 63.
Yeah.
So you arrive and you make your way up to the faculty secretary. What am I talking about? Of course she's going to be here. She's professional. And she once again is, good morning, all. My goodness.
Morning.
you've been working, from the looks of things, you have been working the hours that Professor Galberry has. I trust you were here to see him again?
Yes.
Indeed.
He is in the same room as before. I think you know the way? So if you head down,
Very good.
you knock on the door, you can see that there is a group full. It has that college student funk on the inside, because these people have been working for probably close to 24 hours on this task. There's one or two who are kind of sleeping in the corner. There's some up against chalkboard who are, still working and discussing some numbers. There is one or two who are playing a board game of some kind to free up their thoughts. And you can see that at the blackboard, talking to them is this still small and energetic Professor Galberry. If you guys knock as you come back in, he said, without turning away from the chalkboard, he says, "Oh, thank you, Kathy. We'll have the food in the And he turns around and sees you guys and says, "Oh, you're not breakfast."
I don't know if that was an insult, but yeah.
Has there been developments?
We're looking for more advice.
I see. And he hands over to one of the students. Again, it's an eclectic mix of different species or ancestries in here. He makes his way over and says, "We should discuss this best in my office, then. If you guys wish to test your suspicions, I'm happy to make secret rolls for you for your perception, looking over the students working on this." If you could put if you wish me to make that roll, go ahead and put your perception bonus in chat.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Oh, tap, 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 tap.
Maybe check your feeds too, just in case there's anything that might. I forget about my feeds once in a while.
Then, Dr. Ursprung, Golag, and Sally. All of you are, having looked over this group, they seem exhausted. And there is no obvious person who seems to be suspicious in any way. And you're quite confident of this. The students seem exhausted. They seem they likely know who you are and what the task is you're working on. So they all have kind of a reverential look for some of you. But Basil. Oh, Basil. There is a kobold among them who seems suspiciously avoiding eye contact with any of you. To the point where when you came in, made eye contact, had a bit of a surprised look, and turned around and pretended to be shuffling with papers of some kind. And when you were talking to Professor Galberry, he seems to be trying to hear what you guys are saying. If I'm going to do that, I should probably fucking turn the other way around. He's doing this. Looking. And you notice that he's got a pretty high-necked sweater on, like a turtleneck. Is he concealing something under there?
Yes, obviously.
So, the lot of you come away with no suspicions whatsoever. Basil, that is what you harbor as you guys leave the room into the hallway and begin making your way to the to Professor Galberry's office. You would have an opportunity to whisper to anyone if you wish.
Yeah, I would just. I think I have to check something out. There was something a little off. Yeah, something a little off with one of the students. So I'm having a look. I think you can discuss anything with the professor. I won't be needed here, would I?
No, we can ask the questions.
It does mean that you wouldn't be able to ask questions, I suppose.
Yes,
Basil,
yes,
so
yes.
you may-
I'm totally fine. I would just sneak away if. I mean, that wouldn't be a disturbance.
No, and I mean, with your stealth, you can easily just suddenly kind of be gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would just try not to be seen and watch what the students are doing. Maybe in a way that I'm not. If possible, they won't even know that I'm there. I don't know if there's some way to hide or something.
I mean,
or
if you
just
get a
to be-
crit, yeah, you could try. It is 1:30. Everyone gets a hero point. We're starting to roll dice again, so let's get the fuel going here. Let's see how inconspicuous you are, Basil.
29. I think I wouldn't re-roll that.
Okay.
Yeah, at least I should be able to. I don't know. I could just
Okay. So you are
try to look a little bit. Yeah.
okay. So we'll come back to you. Golag, Sally, and Adam, you all come in to Professor Galberry's office. Again, a bunch of unusual things in the shelf, books and statues and things in jars and whatnot. Seemingly spirit jars as well, too, from the way some things kind of move around within them. He says, please, sit. And you realize that the canapes from yesterday are still sitting around in here. Seems as he has been busy working the entire time. What new information have you?
Well, firstly, Miss Fallows appeared last night. Gwendolyn Fallows.
Gwendolyn returned.
She visited the office. I spoke to her myself, and she threatened me. Really, she told us to stay out of it and not to interfere and allow the ritual to complete. So, is there any way the ritual could be doing anything else other than we originally thought? Would be my first question.
Not that I am aware. Again, you must understand that this is an unprecedented working of magic, using an unheard of fuel for such or ritual participants. This is utterly an unknown country. And it seems, if any, would be capable of concealing a further working within it. I have a habit of underestimating Gwendolyn. So it is possible. Indeed.
So we've come to the unfortunate decision that we need to stop the fuel to this ritual and end this prematurely.
Realization, you can catch the moment that it hits him, because his expression just changes. And I see.
But we are concerned that there could be further connection to Mr. Babwell's children and sister. I don't think we maybe mentioned it before, but they were the only ones that can see through this illusion of this Tulpa for what he actually is. And we feel that they may be connected indirectly, and if we removed Ransom Babwell, or ended his life, maybe one of them would take his place. Do you think that possible?
They are utterly unaware that this working has occurred.
Well, they don't remember Saxon previously. They can obviously see him, but they don't understand where he's come from, whereas everyone else, it seems history has rewritten itself, and they remember him from years and from the beginning of this company. So they can see through this illusion, if we call it that.
I ask only. I wish you not to violate your client confidentiality. Is it the sister who brought you into this?
It is. We're beyond confidentiality. This is too serious now.
That is fascinating.
The children also, they see through it.
But why? Why would they be? Certainly not at the will of Fallow.
It's almost like Babwell is trying to warn them, or a safety involved in the machine somehow if it went wrong.
Yes.
But unfortunately, that might involve them more than he thought it would, because of the connection to the ritual.
It is easy to think of this with how simple magic it can be for those skilled in its workings. It is so easy to think of it as, and he snaps his finger and there's a little kind of like magical little set of lights that kind of come up and then puff into like a mushroom giving off spores thing. To think that such a thing is simply as easy as turning on a gas lantern. Turn a knob and it is active. The scale of this magic would have been to commence, would have been a working of not inconsiderable time. The ritual itself taking weeks in order to come to final fruition. Imagine yourself as Babwell in that moment, as it is taking form. Your mind would no doubt feel, with the memory suppression component, you might almost make it an analogy to drowning, being overwhelmed by such powerful forces. And in such a moment, where might one's thoughts go for help?
To family, friends, loved ones.
When you met with Miss Fallows, did she seem aware of this?
She wanted to know where Babwell was. I believe she was worried that we may prematurely end the ritual by ending his life.
So the professor is safe?
At the moment, yes.
And she seems unaware of the connection to the sister and the children.
It seems that way.
We have something on her. You asked whether there was some secret working on her end. We have Dr. Risewell to thank for working on his end. Babwell. I actually don't know who Risewell is. Why would I say such a thing? But Babwell, if
You
Babwell
haven't had
did
much
this,
sleep, Professor.
it has been a long. I have even neglected canapes. Such a week. She does not know then. He, if I might indulge in the analogy, as a drowning man, has called for a lifeline. And these loved ones have provided it to him. Dr. Ersprung, this is... Your concern over this, what was it?
That they would take his place if we were to end Babwell's life to stop the ritual. Then one of them would take his place, and it would continue, and they would then be taken by the ritual instead.
It is possible, then. True, they may be drawn into the ritual, but such a connection could go both ways. They could serve as an anchor for him.
To remove him from the ritual?
To hold him back from it. We had talked about a cruder way of overpowering. Work would need to be done to anchor them, and most assuredly, if Fallows learned of this, she would take steps. I have no doubt that she is watching us here. What do you propose, then?
Well, if you think we can save Babwell and his family, then obviously we would do all we can to make sure that happens.
We could try.
Otherwise, we need to protect the family members.
I wish not to know where Babwell is now, but if he and his family were brought here, there are ancient protective rituals that we can access here. The college was built here for more than just convenience. We have selected this place most carefully. If they were brought here and have that connection, we may have something to work with. But we would need to distract Ms. Fallows. For surely she would spare no effort to prevent us from doing precisely what you plan.
And would you not need access to the machine for what you propose?
The machine was built with the intent to see the ritual through to completion. If, as you suggest, there is this connection, it was not intended. And it comes from him. But how? Did Fallows have any way of contacting you? Or any means by which you could draw her attention?
She follows us already, or our creatures of the shadows do.
Then what could you do to have her attention elsewhere?
If we went to the machine, surely she would fear us trying to interrupt it
A ruse? Surely, what she would marshal against us, she would also marshal against that eventuality, the machine being destroyed.
We have visited the site. I mean, you visited it as well. And there was no sign of any real protection of it, which I found strange.
Indeed. But at that time, you did not seem intent on damaging it.
Yeah, and maybe she knew that. Maybe she was watching.
Galberry is thinking probably about the metaphysics of such a thing, so it gives the three of you an opportunity if you have any questions for one another or for him.
A distraction. I mean, how would we draw her spies and her eyes away from the family members if we were to try and bring them here? If that was our plan. The machine's the only other connection other than Saxon. And I don't really want to get involved with him. The other options other than the machine?
Split the party. That's one of our usual distractions.
Basil's back starts hurting.
I mean, I'm the obvious choice to go to the machine. She would know of my engineering, I'm sure.
We could use magic to hide you coming out of, say, the office, a place that she would assume you would be, that she wouldn't be suspicious if you didn't leave for a long time. And I could attempt to conceal your departure.
But would it not be you that would want to conceal so she'd follow me and draw her away? So you can bring the family to the university safely?
Sure.
Yeah, because you could go to the factory openly and then Golad could sneak you out. So maybe the factory gets watched and we're all elsewhere.
If he needs the family here, then yeah, we need a way of bringing the family here safely. And maybe we can put an end to this and save everyone.
So you'd be the distraction, Dr. Erskine, is the notion. You'd be the red herring.
Potentially. I mean, if she thinks that we're going to try and shut the machine down, I think I would be the obvious choice.
Mm-hmm.
The most convincing. I mean, I don't have to go on my own if you don't think that's the right thing to do, but...
Imagine that you were going to try and shut the machine down and knowing her threats. How would she think you're going to respond?
I mean, she's going to have all sorts of creatures or helpers that would try and stop us, I would assume. I mean, do we need to distract her as a group and try and find people that we can trust as best as possible to bring the family to here? On our behalf.
We could... what if do we think she's watching them? If there's any chance of that, we could check. We could try to check.
I mean, if these creatures are watching and listening to us, then we only need to suggest, we are going to go and shut the machine down and make sure that they hear us, so that she gets that message. And if we go to the warehouse, then that would be fairly convincing, you would think. We could even suggest that we're going to take Babwell to the warehouse. Maybe we're keeping him in our headquarters, and she hasn't been able to access it because of the wards so far.
I don't want to play to one specific player here and his interest, but by any chance, could this plan involve a hat of any kind?
Oh my god, not the hat.
No.
we need a trick of the hat. That's always.
I mean, we'll have to ask Basil wherever he's got to what he thinks as well.
So we'll need to have already set up trusted escorts for the family, and then we do this, is the idea. I take it.
I think if we are successful in our ruse to shut down the machine, I think then Miss Fallows will throw everything she's got at us.
And maybe we have the professor as our trusted interlocutor on, maybe he doesn't do the escorting, but he's able to affect it. He's able to execute it with who we suggest, or if he has a suggestion.
He can coordinate it, yeah.
Yeah, because he's already with us, so we trust him. So, he seems the natural. Again, he'd be expected to stay behind, so it fits with the narrative, the ruse, and then he is free as long as we. I didn't see anyone out there that seemed suspicious, but he could act with in the professor's staff. Students, but we could have him obviously act with caution and execute the escort mission, whoever we suggest, and then off we go after loudly declaring, "See you at the machine in about 10 or so." Right? Is that our? Does that seem?
Well, something like that. I think maybe.
They wouldn't be the first grad students whose job it was to pick up people for other people and then drop them off at the college. So,
yeah. As long as we don't think that they need more, and I don't want to overthink it too much, but whether they need more heft, whether a constable going with them, or someone of some ability to.
I guess that makes it potentially more noticeable,
That's an idea, or else I escort them.
Dr. Urstrom, do you know anybody who is looking for further responsibility?
I do.
Oh, you're
I'll be some man for the job.
There you go. That's not bad. That's a good.
But I do know someone.
And they're already there, right? He's already got them.
Yeah.
Well, that's
one of them is at Dr. Babwell is at the Barrowhead Clinic, and the family and the sister, I think, are at St. Sylvester's.
I mean, we could ask them to bring the other family members here, maybe. I mean, if anyone's got good security, I would hope it's them. They've certainly shown they're capable in the past. Maybe a bit obvious, but they could do it on the down low, I suppose. As much as
I think it's a natural. Better than the students.
It's going to be a tragedy of this. Just dawned on me. If it does reset, all the goodwill that you've got with the Order of St. Sylvester and Barnabas Steele, gone.
Yeah, there's a lot of unwinding. But
And it makes it more funny. We can win him over a second time.
And all our XP goes and we don't go to level 8.
Yeah. That's the long build up. 6 months worth of times for me to gaslight you guys. Okay, guys, you're 7th level now. Wait, what?
We're going back to 5th level, gentlemen.
Exactly.
yes.
Energy drain is not just for old school games.
Yeah, it seems natural. And more trustworthy too, because we may be wrong about one of those students out there. So I think your staff, Dr. Ursprung, is a nat. You know, they've already got them.
Speaking of suspicion on students, where the hell did Basil get to?
Yeah, I was wondering.
So let's see where Basil's got to. We'll cut back to Basil. So Basil, I'm assuming you're not trying to hide yourself in a boardroom, because like you would need a crit to do that. You didn't quite get there.
No. I was just maybe not trying to be like. So I'm there, okay. I'm interested in what they're doing. This is maybe not unnatural because I'm somehow involved, and they might know that. But I'm not trying to be noticed that I am watching this particular one kobold there. I think that's the only thing I'm trying to hide.
Then that is what you're successful. You're talking to all of them. They're chit-chatting with you too. They seem to have their head truly in the task for the most part right now. And because you've got training in occultism and because you're able to communicate with them, not necessarily at their level, but at least you can speak some of their language, they're quite interested in sharing their findings with you. And what you come away with, at least from the impression of the students, is that they have a very, very thorough understanding of how this thing actually works. Or at least they're about 80% there to knowing how this ritual sort of, all the nooks and crannies of all the different variables. And a bunch of different theories of how to... They have seemingly dipped into dozens of different traditions of trying to find ways to unwork this in a way that doesn't require you to either see it through to completion or, you know, kill somebody. And
yeah, it's wonderful. I would I don't know. I would just be very impressed and tell how wonderful this is and how much we appreciate all the work they're doing here.
They're very grateful for that. The one person who isn't really involved with this is this kobold. The turtleneck kobold.
Interesting. So I don't think it's wise to confront him. I don't know. Maybe we could use him later. But I noticed that he has this kind of pattern of behavior. Yeah. So maybe I would. Do I know where the others have gone in the office of the professor? Maybe I would just follow them. Yeah.
I just got a ringing endorsement from Darren's dismissive shake of the head. All right.
Yeah, well, we don't know. These kobolds, I mean, they think of themselves as tiny dragons, and that is suspicious.
So other than that, do you wish to try and confront the kobold or try and get any information?
No. I was just thinking that we might need to be... we might need him to be unaware that we suggest or suppose that he might be a spy.
Okay. Would you have taken the time to learn his name or the name of all the students?
Yeah, I would just have a round of names or something.
Sure.
Because
everyone introduces you, and then he's in the corner pretending not to see you, and you're like, "And you? What is your name?" Clyde.
Clyde. Oh, yeah, that's nice.
And he kind of clears his little throat. Clyde.
Nice.
And then kind of goes back.
Yeah.
So.
Very, very impressive. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. I'm there's a bright future if you continue such a good work here.
They seem very gratified. If you was Basil's plan to sort of hang out until the others come and collected him, or would you just want to get a suss out of them and then kind of join the others?
Yes, I would join the others if I suppose they're at the professor's office, so I know where I have to go.
You know precisely where to go, and maybe you walk in just as they're finishing the previous conversation we had, where there's a look of like, you can see Galberry is sitting back, and he doesn't look as ashen-faced as what he did before. He seems to be thinking of something, and he's scribbling something down while the other three are discussing. So there's where Basil is, and it's sort of like on cue. You're like, well, where the hell was Basil anyway? And then he sort of walks in, as if summoned. How does he do that every time? What do you guys tell Basil?
You missed the meeting. That's what I tell him.
Yeah. I had to check in with the students. Professor, you could be very proud of your students. They seem to do fantastic work.
Oh, that's very good to hear. Very good indeed. Did you...
Yeah, I got to chat to all of them. There was one student seems to be a little bit shy. I had to ask him twice for his name, but other than that, they were all perfectly happy to chat with me. I think he's called Cloyd. He seems to be very reluctant.
He kind of sighs. Did Cloyd show you his magazines?
No. Is there some...
Cloyd is a very gifted student and will be a very capable conjurer. His hobby, however, he has very many of the... I hate the term, but the penny dreadfuls written.
Oh, yes.
I understand that Ms. Turner writes many of the papers. No, not Turner. What was her name? Who's your reporter contact?
Carrington.
Annabelle.
Yeah.
Carrington, yes.
Miss Carrington writes very detailed information, and she has ghost writers who prepare stories of your exploits. It seems Cloyd has read and is a fan as a enthusiast of all of yours. He did not speak to you.
No, he couldn't barely say his name, so
That is a shame.
Yeah.
I know he is a great admirer of yours.
Oh, yeah, then I will make sure that I talk to him on the next occasion.
He would, I suspect, enjoy that in them immensely.
Yes, obviously.
For context, you're the only one who rolled a nat 1 on your perception check. You misunderstood the...
Yeah, I got this from the way you addressed me the first time, but...
So...
Yeah.
Then, what do you guys tell Basil for...
Well, it seems we have more good news than normal. The professor here thinks we can use a connection to his Babwell's family to our advantage, possibly. Almost use him as an anchor to save him.
So I mean I listened, so I'm aware. So you can say it again. That's not.
Well, I mean it's a role playing game. So if you want to role play through how Basil might react, or if he has any insight, if there's anything that you've been thinking of that Basil has not had a chance to share.
But this is interesting. So you think we could save him and them?
And stop the ritual. That was the bit I wasn't sure. How would we stop the ritual from completing?
By starving it, as you said.
So removing him from it.
So like they built some kind of magical barrier, like they would like I don't know, strengthens their resistance to the ritual. So
Precisely.
in some, yeah.
He alone would not be sufficient given the scope of this ritual. But potentially with 3 anchor points, it would not be without risk, of course.
Yes.
This is uncharted waters, but it is hope.
And there will be at least 2 factions not happy with this. How can we get rid of them, or how can we get them not to interfere?
Well, Zane will not see until Babwell awakes, I would guess. He wouldn't know what's going on until he's awoken. Miss Fallows, we need to distract her and draw her away from the university. So we need to use her spies to our advantage, I feel.
Okay. So
if they feed back the information and it's the wrong information, then we can use that to our advantage.
okay. So we could have a kind of a ruse and send them somewhere where they will meet someone else, maybe.
So we're having the family brought to Guilberry, right?
Yep.
So you can do it here.
It has to be here,
Okay.
under the protection of the university.
Oh, that makes things much simpler. So that's great.
We will try and draw fellows to the machine, would be my best.
Suggestion.
Yeah, I think so. Best suggestion, and that's what she would want to protect.
Okay.
If we could inform her that that's what we were planning to do, shut the machine down, by letting it slip to these spies in some way.
How long would it take you to rebuild Igor?
It's nearly done.
It's, well, yes, at least half done, I think, probably.
I mean, we could try to basically to go there with Igor and staff him with some kind of obvious additional machinery, so she might think he's there to help us dismantle this or explode or something.
Yeah, we could put some explosives on him as if that was our intention, to explode him from outside the factory or something. It would look fairly convincing, I feel.
And it would be kind of a plan we are doing sometimes.
It's happened occasionally.
So it might be very, very convincing. I would be lying if I say I haven't considered that plan multiple times already.
Yes. Well, that is certainly an option. I think we could.
And that would involve us fighting her and her minions somewhere else while Professor Galbury does his great work here.
Yes, I think she would confront us at the warehouse if she got wise to it, but that would hopefully draw her minions and spies to her and take her eyes off of the university for enough time for the professor.
Yeah, we can do that.
So we set a time for tomorrow or something with the
Yeah, we need to get the family here somehow.
And the idea there was to use Dr. Ursprung's staff, right?
Styrus, and
Oh yes.
he could maybe arrange, a taxi or something, as if he was taking a patient out of the clinic home, or like an ambulance.
But if we go to the clinic now, wouldn't they know about what's going on? I mean, would they follow us and find?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I could give them a message to come here tomorrow afternoon at this time, whatever time we set.
Yeah.
And I could come out of the clinic with tools, etc., that looks like I was going to do some engineering work or be working on.
Yes. Yeah.
As if I was collecting parts for Igor.
It's like a good plan.
But we would need someone to send a message to Saint Vista or get.
Oh, we can maybe send the message even from here or something. I don't know.
Just asking them to bring the family to the university at the same time as Cyrus arrives, or as close to us.
Yep, Professor might be able to help with just sending the message rather than trying to make it as inauspicious as possible.
Knowing the stakes of what you're working on, sorry, Sean, but just knowing the stakes that you're working on, the students are certainly happy to help with that. And Basil's made a really good inroad with them. He's got a good sense of what they are, and having heard what what Cloyd's feelings are towards Basil, it makes perfect sense now the way he was acting. It's just he's not suspicious. He just is, he's a mega fan of Basil Rathbone.
He's nervous.
Yeah,
being around such a
such a luminary.
Yeah.
In such a case, Cloyd may be either a great resource or a fucking terrible one to draw on for that. That could really cut either way.
I'm sure Sally's used to all of this.
I might give him a hat or so. That would be.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Cloyd would be thrilled with that. He may actually pass out. You guys remember the episode of I'm not sure if you watch Community or not, but there's an episode of Community where one of the characters gets to meet LeVar Burton because he's such a fan of him too, and he just fucking freezes up and doesn't speak to him the whole time.
Yeah.
That will be Cloyd.
We should put this plan into action for tomorrow, do you think?
Yes.
And
That sounds good.
Agree with the professor, what's the best time to have them arrive? How much time do you need to prepare for such workings that you're proposing?
We have done much of the calculations previously, and knowing this now, it should be a facile thing. I still cannot guarantee a favorable outcome. I hope that the ancient binding stones will protect the three with our added invocations and wards. Sorry, there's someone who's... Oh, walking the dog this way. Sorry. But... a day. A day should suffice.
And is there anything else we can do to increase the chance of success?
I do not doubt that what you will face when you last faced Gwendolyn, it was more than a year ago. Her ambitions have grown considerably since that time, it seems. I think it reasonable to prepare on the assumption that her power has increased as well. I have colleagues at the College of Alchemy. They have restoratives that can assist with injuries. If you'll be facing the full fury of her forces, we will arrange for some to be prepared for you. So he's going to supply you some healing potions.
Yes, well, that would certainly be useful.
I think it best... Once we activate the barriers, I expect some outcome at the machine. So your ruse may be supported by physical manifestations once our barriers are up. It may appear as if you are damaging them in some way. And you should know when the ritual is concluded. You need only survive long enough. Though, whether you survive or not should not prevent us from succeeding. You came here asking about potential other sacrifices. You now propose to, in an indirect way, propose yourselves as sacrifices. I have expressed my admiration for you before. It is only increased in the time that I have come to know you all. If there is anything further we can do to assist in your preparations, please let us know, and we will be happy to assist.
Yeah, only if there's any sort of magic or anything that will help us see through Gwendolyn's illusions or any protection against her magics. If she throws whatever she throws at us, a full force of her magic, and
it is. What is? Oh my goodness! This must be someone's birthday on the block. There's a ton of people coming to a neighbor's house. Yeah, that's why Anna's. She's a greeter, you know. She just likes. It sounds like she's saying "fuck you" to the people who are arriving.
She was not consulted.
No, she didn't agree to this. This is her invoicing. Sorry?
Right.
Wasn't invited either.
Right.
She's not great around around at parties. Tends to make an embarrassment of herself. All right, I'm sorry. I'm talking about you. What he can offer you, Golag, you can make use of scrolls, I believe. And Anna, honey. Good Lord.
Singing happy birthday.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
Well, it's normally like she'll bark until they're gone and then they go on, and I just like, I don't know what the heck.
It's like a parade out there.
Oh yeah, some.
It's a complete security violation.
It
That's
is.
what we
There's
know.
so many people parking in front of my house. I don't know what the hell's going on. Sorry, guys. Apparently, I'm having a party and I didn't know.
Yeah.
What he's going to offer you is the 2 scrolls of Dispel Magic at level 3. So as if it was cast as a level 3 spell. All right. Their final flipping the bird. Oh, we're changing locations, guys. Okay. Here we go. 262. Yeah, so you'll have 2 of those Dispel Magic. And he will give you as well a Here we are. Let me make sure this spell works the way... Oh, wrong book. No, right book. In this game, the way it does, I think he's also going to offer you a scroll of silence.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your concern is the workings of magics. Yes. So he has... I'm telling him, 3 scrolls of silence to offer you at a level 2 spell. Those are touch spells, FYI. So you'll be touching an area or a person. Oh, it's one willing creature that is silenced, so that would prevent... One willing creature, yeah. But you can cast it on somebody else, right? Like you can cast it on one of you guys who don't need to make sounds. Yep. Anna says that's bullshit too, Ingolf.
Okay.
Here we go. Yeah, one willing creature. Oh, that is only the target. It's if you heighten it to level 4. You can't cast 4th level spells, can you, Golag? What level are you? Level 6 or level 7?
7. I think I just got there.
Then you guys, you will have ignore the 2 level 1s, level 2 scroll, or 3 level 2 scrolls, 1 level 4 scroll of silence. That is a 10-foot radius emanation around a willing creature, silencing all sound throughout. That would prevent any audible. So if someone wants to race up, you could cast on Igor Mark 5, for instance. Hi, yeah, you finished? Guys, Anna reports all clear. So,
Okay.
hey, Noisy.
Excellent.
Good. Then, this will also, if you're taking the day, it will give Dr. Ursprung an opportunity to complete work on Igor Mark 5, and Goldlag will have an opportunity to prepare spells specifically for this. And I believe, do you have Dispel Magic and Silence on your spell list yet? Like within your familiar?
What was the first one?
Whether you've got those 2, Dispel Magic and Silence.
You're asking me, I've just put the scrolls in my inventory.
No, in your spell list. Because you've got that list of spells that you know, not the ones you prepped, but the ones that you know. Because you could also make use of, if you don't make use of those, you could add those to your spell list.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can learn. These are for learning.
I'll double check. I got to double check with the witches, but that's how wizards add to their spell list, right? One of the ways they can do it is by copying from scrolls.
I should have been robbing Professor Galberry a long time ago. It turned out. Where are my scrolls going? Every time Golag comes over.
Yeah. All right.
No, I do not. I do not have either of those.
Okay. Excellent. So then I'll double check in the player core 2, but that's the way wizards work. Is you're able to add spells. Copying from scrolls is one of the ways you learn spells. Then. Is there anything else you wish to ask of Professor Galberry before you start putting this plan into action?
Last time we fought her, we had this kind of magical lantern or so to help us find the creatures in the shadow or mitigate their hiding abilities. Maybe that is something we should use this time as well. I don't know if we still have the old lanterns. I think
definitely.
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You guys strike me as keeping mementos of your crimes in a bat cave type of people. So that I expect is kicking around somewhere in the office.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay.
Anything else? I think what you guys can do as well is, if in the interim, while Dr. Earthsprung is having an Iron Man-esque montage of reforging Igor Mark V, you didn't know there was electric guitar in Paridar, did you? Then you guys could also I'll take a look after the session, and I'll give you a certain budget. And if you want to pick up anything from Treasure Vault or from the Player Core or Player Core 2 for extra, or like guns and gears or whatnot to supplement to get ready for this fight, you guys could do that as well. That would lend to the ruse, I suppose, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Anything else of Dr. Galberry or Professor Galberry?
We received the level 4 scroll instead of the 3 level 2s.
That's
Is that
right.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the more effective one.
I just wrote the lanterns down that we are reminded next session, because I think I'll forget them. No, I don't. I think we will do this with our wits and our courage.
Okay.
Don't we?
And
Indeed.
very large blunderbuss.
Do you need a large blunderbuss? I thought you were the weapon yourself.
All right. So that, I think, guys, will bring us to the end of the session with you guys heading back and tipping your hand. Can you go over here, please? Thank you. Someone is heading right for the wires. Then, let me bring us back to our main screen and make the outro. And this, we were talking before the session, this is our final session of 2024 for Paridar.
Whoa.
So we are rolling into, is it our 4th year next year of Paridar?
Right. Wow.
I think so. I think we
That's
started.
crazy.
Yeah. So
It'd be
2020. Yeah.
3 years completed, wouldn't it? Yeah.
yeah. So starting the 4th year with you guys, ideally, if you survive this final encounter with Gwendolyn Fallow, then it will be level 8.
Ooh. And the important thing is that Gwendolyn Fallow does not survive our encounter with Gwendolyn Fallow.
Yeah, boy, that's going to be.
Honestly, if we have to choose, I think this Saxon Sane is much more important. That he should not be there any longer, and that is at least Basil's top priority.
It would really be a hell of a thing if, in the course of transport, Dr. Babwell was awake enough to hear where you guys were going, and both Fallow and Mr. Saxon showed up.
Yeah. I actually considered the idea to have him come there as well.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. That's something to contemplate. So for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for part 13 of the Guile of the Gaslight Man mystery. As is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the game, or the campaign, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. There's also a link down below to the Dungeon Musings Discord server, where all of us are active, and we have a channel there dedicated to the Spires of Paridar campaign, to most of the games and campaigns we have on the channel, as well as channels dedicated to finding a group, GM discussion, and so forth. There's a ton of great people over there, helpful, friendly, knowledgeable, and they are you're more than welcome to join us over there. There's also a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America. Not only do they have an incredible selection of new role-playing games, board games, and card games, they have an unmatched selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs, including a massive collection of Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition stuff. If they do not have something in stock in their extensive catalog, you can put it on a want list, and they'll send you an email when it comes in, and if you can pick it up at your leisure. If you make a purchase of $10 or more through their website, be sure to enter the code MuserFrost, all caps, all one word, is listed in the description of the video, and you will save yourself 10% on your purchase. If you're listening to this after January 15, 2025, then be sure to come back to one of our more recent videos, and we'll have what the current discount code is listed there. There's also a link down below to the Heroes Save Villages campaign, which is our charity fundraising campaign on the channel. We've wrapped up the charity initiatives that we've done for the year, but donations can still be made through that link. All of it goes to SOS Children's Villages International, an incredible organization active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphaned and abandoned children. And none of it goes to the channel or any other middleman. It just goes to help out the kids who benefit from their services. And as a small way of saying thank you, we have been running a series of mashup sessions over the past 6 months. The final one will be in 2 weeks' time, when we're playing a mashup of the classic Dracula Dossier campaign written for Night's Black Agents by Kenneth Haidt. And we'll be playing that with Free League's Twilight 2000. So a post-apocalyptic or post-World War III with vampires. Should be a lot of fun. But the last thing I will say is a huge thank you to our stalwart Illuminators. You guys are bringing their final confrontation back, final confrontation in this mystery. And it seems as if you are facing an old foe once again. So, Sean, James, Ingolf, and Darren, thank you so much for playing today, this year, and these past 3 years, because we will be celebrating our 3-year anniversary over Christmas. So, yeah. But for those listening at home, thank you as well for joining us, whether this is your first session with Paridar or one of many. We hope that we gave you a few hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that our stalwart Illuminators are uncovering as they are trying to solve the mystery of the Gaslight, mystery of the Guile of the Gaslight Man. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy. I'm telling them. And happy gaming.